The woman processes externally. So whatever the woman's worried about, that's why she wants to talk about it. Fellas, you have to understand that women process by communicating, by talking. When something's really bothering her, she wants to talk about it. So she's ironing this something. She's talking about these kids are driving me crazy. I can't believe I got to go down to that school again. And I just got out to John after that. The reason she's talking about it is not that she wants you to fix it. She doesn't want you to resolve it. She doesn't want you to straighten it out. She's thinking about it. And when a woman thinks, she talks out loud. I know. I feel you. Am I right? Where my sisters at? Now, sisters, let me explain something to you. While you're talking about what's going on with the kids and how it's worrying you and it's driving you crazy and it's getting on your nerves, and you look over at him and he's playing with the remote control, and you look at him and say, that's what's wrong with you. You don't care about nothing going on in this house. Is our kids going to hell and you sitting up there watching a football game? Let me help you with this. Men process internally. The more something, listen sisters, this is real important. The more something bothers us, the less we say about it. When a man is really worried and really upset and really frustrated, this is what he says. Absolutely nothing. Because what you do externally, we do internally. We go in our caves to process issues. And because you think that we don't care because we don't verbalize, you say we are not emotional. I say we are emotional. He cares about it just as much as you do. He just doesn't communicate it like you do. So the problem that you talked to him about on Monday, and he didn't say nothing about it, but kept playing with the remote control and looking at the movies and flipping from channel to channel. Here he comes to you on Thursday and say, I've been thinking about what you said. And by then you done forgot, what are you talking about? Here's the problem. We go inside to process. You go outside to process. Here's the problem though. Sometimes men go in and we can't get back out. And we get trapped on the inside because we can't find a solution. And when a man can't find a solution, he becomes imprisoned. In prison. I want to tell you what's dangerous. The most dangerous thing that can happen to a man is for him to be in prison. Solitary confinement. The very first thing that God teaches us about men, he says it is not good for a man to be alone. Look at Saddam Hussein, one of the most corrupt rulers of our generation, perhaps an Adolf Hitler of our time. This man who ruthlessly destroyed and killed masses of people while he ate chicken salad and thought absolutely nothing about it, is brought down to his knees, not by beatings, stabbings, or cuttings. They put him in solitary confinement, and he is about to lose his mind because it is not good for man to be alone. You can take a serial killer, a murderer, a rapist, a man who kills without any thought about somebody who can fight, kick you in your head and kill your unborn children. But if you put him in solitary confinement, he starts whimpering like a baby and crying in the night because it is not good for man to be alone. And the truth of the matter is there are men all around this room who went in their cave to process something years ago. Some of them went in the cave in their boyhood trying to figure out why their father didn't stay. Some of them went in the cave over their first wife who left them. Some of them went in the cave over the job that fired them, and they've been stuck in solitary confinement for years. And the only reason he's on drugs, insane, searching the internet in the middle of the night, playing with little girls or little boys, is because it's not good for man to be alone. And if that boy at 15 or 50 gets locked into solitary confinement, he will become emotionally detached and unglued because he cannot get out. And when a man can't get out, all he does is bring his toys into his cave to keep him comfort in his pain. And it's not the toys that have him addicted. It is the gross loneliness of having no one who understands the dream that died on your way to masculinity. So my sisters and my brothers, I came to blow the whistle and sound the alarm and tell you that there are men in this room and at your dinner table going to your school. They are your sons, your husbands, your boyfriends, and your lovers, and they are secretly dying in their cave. They are in solitary confinement. They are alone, and they do not tell you because they cannot speak. He is in solitary confinement, and a man can be alone and in confinement and have sex and make love and make babies and make house payments and car payments and give you money to get your hair did and your nails did and everything else did and still be in a cave of confinement. Sex is no sign that he's happy. I was amazed by this woman who told me, she said, "Pastor, I cannot believe it. He gave me roses for our anniversary, and 2 weeks later he asked me for a divorce. How could he be happy? And 2 weeks later he wanted a divorce." And I thought, what about them roses made you think he was happy? He wasn't happy. He was responsible. He knew it was the day. He's a performer. He gives you what you expect, but that is no sign that he is satisfied. You see, we do what we think you want us to do, but that doesn't mean we're happy. While the relationship is falling apart, he reaches out and gets a woman on hold. So he's got her on standby like a spare tire. He gives her just enough love to keep her hanging on. It's not that he wants her, it's that he doesn't want to be alone. I want to show you something. I think this is important. See, women have been trained for relationships all of your lives. You grew up getting ready for, you remember when you got the Barbie and you got the Ken, and Barbie and Ken had the little wedding outfits, and you were playing house with Barbie and Ken? You have been practicing since you were 5 years old for the big day. That's why you get so disappointed when the big day doesn't come, because you've been getting ready for it all of your life. You have been trained. You have a degree in relationships. We do not train our boys in relational skills. Let me go deeper. You're sitting up there, you Susie homemaker, and you're cooking, and you're setting up all the tea sets, and you've got all the plates and the dishes, and you're sitting down at the pizza, and you're kind of, come on, we're going to eat our salad. You have been planning for household duties and relationships and somebody to be with you all of your life. We didn't do that. Then you got in your teenage years, and you were shut up in your room with your Harlequin novel. She couldn't believe when she opened the door, there he stood. She never thought that he even knew her address or where she lived. Her pulse began to quicken. Her heart began to thump as if it would leap out of her chest. She opened her mouth to speak, but there were no words. And in his hand, he had one single long stem, ruby red rose. As she reached out with trembling hands to touch the rose, she felt the warmth of his masculine skin and smelt the aroma coming from his masculine frame. And when he opened his mouth to speak, she knew he was the one. I can write it, baby. I can write it on my computer. I'll light you up. By the time you are 18 years old, you know what kind of wedding gown you're going to have. You know whether you're going to wear a hat or whether you're going to wear a veil. You have picked, you ain't even got no boyfriend. You picked out the church that the wedding is going to be in. You know where your reception is going to be. Men don't do stuff like that. He just gets married. There he is standing there. And I'm saying, do you take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold, for better, for worse, for richer, for poor, in sickness or health, to death do you part? I say, do you? The dummy says, he don't know what he did. He's just standing there. He hadn't had no practice for that. He doesn't understand that at all. Takes him 10 years to figure out what he did. But I'll tell you what we do. I'll tell you what we do. I tell you, while you were learning relationships, we were learning to play games. And the thing that men do very, very well is play games. Now, I'm going to tell you why. Listen to this. Listen to this. This is worth the book alone. Listen. Men play games because games have rules. They have rules. They have the potential of winning, and you score points. And anything that has rules and scoring and winning, men do well. Football, basketball, baseball, hockey, any kind of game where you can score. That's why when he started dating, he called it scoring, because he thought relationships were a game, because men play games well. That's why men go to work and make money. Let me tell you what money is for most men. It's just how we keep score. And he'll work all week and fight and negotiate to get raises and to get deals and to sell product and to get business deals and to sell real estate, and then come home and hand you the check, because he doesn't want the money. He just wants to score the points. It's how we play the game. And we do play the game very well. But the only problem is when somebody changes the rules of the game and the man can't score points, he gets frustrated and starts losing. And when a man starts losing, he starts dying because he can't figure out what went wrong, because he can't score points and he's not winning. And she doesn't understand that's what happened to her son. Quickly, I'll explain it. As long as he was in the house, it was simple rules. Eat your cereal, say your prayers, kiss mama goodnight, and go to bed. Here's the reward. You're a good boy. So he did real good until he got 8, 9 or so. Then he went out there on the basketball court with all of those Miss Manner rules that mama taught him. And he said, when you brothers get through playing with the ball, I'm wondering if it would be possible if I would have a turn to be able to play. And they said, you sissy! They slapped his glasses off his face. He comes home crying to mama. He's not crying over the smack. He's crying over the confusion, because somebody changed the rules of the game and he can't figure out how to score points, and his self-esteem begins to come down. And suddenly he's left with a choice. Do I play the rules of mama's game and score points at home, or do I play the rules of their game and score points with them? And in most cases, he doesn't have any male figure to direct him through the traffic of masculinity, and he chooses, at least he's hanging with the boys and ends up with the fellas, and he calls the gang his family, and he becomes more loyal to them than he is to you, because he's trying to figure out how to score points and win the game again. And the mama doesn't understand that the reason that the boy is angry and frustrated is that he's torn between two lovers, and he can't figure out how to win the game. And anytime a man can't figure out how to win the game, he becomes bitter and angry and confused. You see, men measure everything, and it's all about the points. Whether that he is not immortal and that he's getting older, and then his back will go out, and all of a sudden he'll try to figure out what's wrong with his back, and the doctor will tell him that he's aging, and all of a sudden he has hypertension or he has diabetes, and he begins to panic because everything that he celebrated about himself is starting to fall apart, and he panics about it and tells no one about it and lies to his friends as if he was the man he used to be, and camouflages to you as much as he can, rolls over and talks about he's tired, he's stressed out, but in reality he's going through a change that he doesn't understand, because he has no father who went through it in front of him, and he is upset and he is alone, and it is not good for a man to be